So yeah guys, as you can see, the truck's pretty beat up. I'm okay. The kids weren't with me on this run, so thankfully they weren't in the truck. It was just me driving it, and we ended up hitting a side-by-side, a UTV. Well, they ended up kind of hitting us, and everybody's okay. Everybody walked away from it. I'm a little banged up though. My neck is pretty messed up today. I got quite a bit of pain in it. But it's not a big deal, not when you compare it to the damage the truck suffered. And what happened was we're going down a trail. It's LA Aqueduct Road. We were just north of Jawbone Canyon. It's an area I've been to many times. And we were going through a rolling hill section, and it was just the perfect scenario of hitting a blind turn, and the UTV was just carrying too much speed. I was already in the process of slowing down. I was maybe going 30 miles an hour or so. And I basically had a split second to decide what to do, and I saw the UTV and I immediately put the truck towards the side so I can get it off the trail, and I almost got the whole truck off the trail, but as the UTV, I guess the UTV locked up their brakes, the whole back end slid, and they basically slid into the front of the truck, and you can kind of see it from the damage. His back tire basically hit my bumper and the front tire, and the front of his UTV snapped in, and you could kind of see it where it hit the rear door and dug in to the side of the rear door. It was a pretty violent crash. I was almost at a stop when it all happened. Luckily, the guys of the UTV were okay. They were wearing helmets and all that stuff, so thank God for that. They were fine. For me, I was okay. I think the only problem I had is I lost my mirror and I can't open that rear door. Both of the windows are shattered, so I couldn't really see anything out of the back, and yeah, and the front end's pretty bent up. The lower control arm mounting point is bent. It's bent actually about an inch back from the impact of that rear tire hitting so hard into the side of the car. I mean, the impact was so hard that his whole rear suspension section is gone, right? It was just sheared off. The shock, everything, all that stuff was sheared off. Luckily though, I had a good group of guys with me that day, so we got the group on a complete stop. We immediately started trying to help the guys out too to get their UTV off the trail. So, you know, we got my truck out of the way, realized my steering was way off, but we really focused on helping them out first. So we got the UTV turned around, which is not an easy task. It was all off balance. We got him pulled away and set up in a nice flat section that he could be recovered. Where we were at, the only option was to take him back to Jawbone. We couldn't drag him the other way because of these pretty steep inclines over there. So we got him back to his camp so that he can call for help. So he's got somebody that was going to come out later. And, you know, in that camp too, we were finally able to exchange insurance information. Luckily, he was insured. But overall, he was a nice guy, right? I mean, yeah, it was a knucklehead move. I think he was going a little too fast, but it could have been worse. It could have been so much worse. I mean, we could have done a head-on collision. I could have killed these guys with my truck. So it could have been worse. So I think we got pretty lucky with where we ended up. The drawback is my truck is how you see it right now. Driving her home was kind of scary. We couldn't get it to drive straight. My steering wheel was almost all the way turned, almost 90 degrees turned, just to keep her straight. And she was wobbly all over the place. And on dirt, if I hit a little bump, this whole driver's side would just wobble. It was pretty scary driving her home. Luckily, like I said, the guys that were with me, I had Ray, who's Super Crew Ray on Instagram, and Boris, who is Bojizo on Instagram, and I had Ken, who's Mojave Raptor on Instagram. So before I could even process what just happened, right, my sole focus was to help this guy out, get him off the trails, and get him back to his camp, right, so that he can get the help he needs to recover his rig. And, you know, so that I can get the insurance info to get his license and all that stuff. He didn't have him on him. My whole mind was on, let's get him back to camp. Let's get him set up and a point so that he can help himself, right? So that he can get the people to help him out. And while that was going on, Ray and Boris were already fixing my truck. You know, pulling panels where we needed to pull them so that I can clear stuff. They were adjusting my tow so that I can at least make her drivable, and that made a huge, huge difference on being able to drive her home. And then Ken actually ended up driving the majority of the way home. He probably drove about 2/3 of the way back home with me to make sure that the truck was drivable, that there wasn't going to be any issues, you know. And it was a challenge driving her home. I couldn't see anything on the left side because of the shattered windows. You know, I couldn't see if there was a car next to me or anything like that, so I was constantly nervous of being able to go into that left lane. And Ken was able to help me out, and you know, hopefully by then I got used to it. And Ken was going to follow me all the way home, which is a huge detour for him. But I convinced him otherwise. I started getting used to it, and it wasn't until we started getting home that I realized that maybe something was wrong with my neck and my back. And it turns out that I just kind of tweaked it, I guess. I got whiplash in the neck for sure. My whole right side's pretty painful right now. It's pretty tender. And then parts of my lower back are a little messed up too. But in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. See how bad it is?
You lost
everything. The hood's damaged. Hood's got to be replaced.
Yeah, everything got shifted.
The whole cab's damaged. Look at this. Don't try to open this door.
What happened?
This rear fender, see the rear fender? Mm-hmm. It was in the tire. Look at the back fender. Yeah, both. Well, yeah, look. This is all pushed in. Yes, this right here is all pushed in.
Don't tap on the glass that hard.
And the only thing holding the glass together is the tint. But worst of all, do me a favor. Get under there and look behind the control arm. See where that washer is supposed to be?
Yeah.
Do you see how bent it is?
Yeah. God damn, Dad.
Yep. All because the other guy was going way too fast.
Damn. This is gonna cost a lot.
Yeah. And that's kind of where we sit with the truck right now. She's pretty beat up. You know, as far as damage, lower control arms, the hood's damaged. The impact was so hard that it hit the hood. You guys can see this whole fender is basically ruined. His back tire, I think, barely clipped. This might have been the back of his UTV clipped, but the majority of the impact was in the tire itself. And I think the tire was already turned, and it took all the damage into the control arm. So the control arm back down there, the whole frame section is bent. The fender is completely damaged. I mean, this was all moved in. The impact was so hard that it went into the hood. So the hood's pretty much damaged. And then here's where it starts getting real bad. I mean, this was the major impact point right here. All the damage was taken by the driver's side door. You can see where his roll cage actually even hit the windows. I mean, it just sheared off the mirror away. So the back of the UTV hit there, and here is where the front of the UTV started hitting. This right here was all caused by the top of his rack and his light bar. It actually dug in because when he hit, somehow he lifted the whole back end of the truck up. And I mean, you could see the glass is curved, it's not straight anymore, and every time we open or close the door, it slips down even further. The only thing that's holding the glass together is the tint. And the bed took quite a bit of damage too. I mean, this piece right here was into the tire. It was completely into the tire. The back end of the fender was damaged too. I mean, I lost the fender flare. I have no idea if I suffered any damage in here. There's a little bit of scratching and stuff like that on the tire, but I don't know what else kind of damage is in there. The big worry is the cab, right? The cab is deformed. It's pretty well deformed here. We haven't even tried to open the door because we know if we do, we won't be able to close it. So I don't know what other damage is going on in there. The front frame damage has us worried. You know, and we open up the sunroof shield. Luckily, the sunroof's still intact. So that means that maybe the cab is still salvageable. And we're hoping it is. I mean, we're hoping the damage wasn't too bad. So like I said, luckily, the damage wasn't too bad. The more I think about it, the more I realize how much worse it could have been. And you know, I'm fairly careful when it goes to riding the trails. And you know, I slow down at turns, I slow down at anything blind, and I completely avoid holiday weekends because of stuff like this. One of the funnest places to go with these trucks is Glamis or Pismo, and you'll never see me there during the holiday seasons, during the cold times, because it's too dangerous because of reasons like this. You know, I have quite a bit of experience off-road, but I know that the majority of people off-road don't have experience, and the UTV guys are probably the worst. The UTV guys don't know trail etiquette. They don't know that, or they're not thinking about there's other people on the road, you know, and I avoided like the plague. And even on this run, we were going down this trail, and I slowed down the group substantially once I started to see all the campsites and all the RVs along the trail. I mean, this is the Javo Canyon area. It is a popular area. The road we're on isn't too popular, but you know, once we recognize the signs, I slowed down my group substantially. You know, not the pace we were going through there during the summer when it's hot and there's nobody there. Yeah. I almost never go out during a holiday week. Thanksgiving, I'm at home. I don't organize runs that week. I try to avoid them like the plague because there's too much of a risk for damage. It's just, it's tough to get in a situation like this. So, you know, let this serve as kind of a warning to you guys. Be careful when you're out on the trails. You could be doing everything right, but if the other guy's not doing it too, you can get into the situation that I got into, right? I almost had the truck completely off the trail. I almost completely missed them because my speed was a little bit lower. And, I mean, you look at the damage that happened, right? He didn't go so fast. He slammed on his brakes. His whole back end slid into my truck, and he pushed my truck off the trail. The front end was basically off, and the back end, he basically completely pushed off the trail just with his UTV. His little lightweight UTV pushed my 6,000-pound truck off the trail. It's pretty amazing when you think about that. 1,200 pounds versus 6,000 pounds. At the speeds he was going, it doesn't make any difference. All right, guys, so we're on here unloading the truck, getting it ready for, we're just getting it ready for the insurance company to do their assessment. My hope is that we can repair her. I do not want to start over again with the brand new build. I'm hoping we get her all fixed up and we can get her back on the trails in a couple of weeks. Worst case scenario would be for the insurance company to total her. Because I have so much invested in it. There's so much upgrades that I've done in this truck, and I have so much history with it. I know what this truck can do. I know the maintenance that's been put into it. And this thing's my baby. I mean, I almost cried yesterday thinking about the damage that she suffered. If we can, we're going to get her fixed. We're going to get her back on the trails. So yeah, so if she's repairable, we're going to get her done. We're going to get her fixed up. We'll try to document as much as we can along the way. You know, all of this is stuff that can be fixed. It's just a matter of if the insurance will cover it, which has me worried, right? A couple weeks ago, a silly little dent and a step being replaced was $5,000. If that's a measure of how much this is going to cost to replace, I'm a little worried about the insurance company deciding to total her. I hope they don't. I love this truck. It's my baby. Yeah, I may love her more than both of you assholes.
Fine. Damn.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. We have a lot of content still on the channel for SEMA and for a lot of stuff we've been doing. We hope to continue doing all that content for you guys. So stay tuned, and we'll see you guys on the next video.